I'm live. So it's about 11:52 on the clock here, and this is the Wilson Middle School Parents Town Hall meeting that was originally scheduled for 11 o'clock. Because of some technical difficulties, we had to wait until 12 o'clock. We think we got it all set. I'm keeping an eye on the counter. We're setting up in the background. We're keeping an eye on the counter to see the number of parents and people that are participating in this. So as it grows, I will wait probably until about 2 minutes after 12 to get started. Again, I apologize for the technical difficulties. We had some issues with the elementary one with the Wi-Fi signal, and I must have popped out about 3 or 4 times during the whole session. So we decided to hardwire this one in, and that created an issue along with YouTube changing their parameters. So I've got 6 people, so I know people are starting to log in. So hopefully we're able to continue to go forward. We are videoing this also. We are also videoing this, just double checking. So the video of this session will also go up on the district's webpage along with this verbal discussion. Like I said, I apologize for the delay by an hour, but it was better to try and get this right than to force it at 11 o'clock. We're up to 8 people logging in. This is the middle school's town hall meeting. I'm Tim Carter, Superintendent of Wilson. I have 11:54 by my clock. I'm going to wait until 12:02 to get started. It'll be formatted the following way. I will give a verbal sort of overview of the plan that should take between 20 minutes to 25 minutes. As I'm giving the verbal overview, you have the ability to log in questions using the chat format. The chat format will be monitored by myself and also the district clerk, Jennifer Pavan. She's here with me. And after I give the overview, then she will fire off the questions at me. I have 11:56 by my clock. There is a little bit of a delay. So if the clock is not exactly, I think there's a minute and a half delay between what I'm saying now and when you're seeing it. I have 12 people joining us right now for this middle school town hall meeting. Again, I apologize for the delay, but unfortunately it had to do with 2 factors. YouTube changed some of their parameters between Tuesday and today. And you probably experienced that when you logged in. You actually had to log into an account on your own. But they also, we had some difficulties with the Wi-Fi on Tuesday's elementary broadcast, and I kept fading in out a few times. So we decided to go hardwire. And between the two, that unfortunately the 11 o'clock we're not going to be able to make. So we moved this one to 12. But I appreciate you being flexible. This is going to be videotaped. So any parent will be able to see it. We'll send the video out to all middle school parents so we can make sure that they at least get to view this one. I have added, and I'll get all those dates out. I have added 2 middle school sessions to this town hall meeting because the governor said that I have to meet 3 times with each constituent group. Since I'm doing these individual I'm doing 3 elementary, 3 middle school, 3 high school. And then we're also doing an evening event for those parents that can't participate. That schedule has been created and it is going out to staff. I will have it sent out to parents and also put on our website in the next day or so. So those events are going to be coming up. I have those 7, I have now 6 more to go. Those seven email or those 7 video sessions are going to be done through this manner. I'm assuming that everybody is able to chat. If you can't, if the chat function doesn't work, which is one other glitch we may end up with, you can email your questions to tech at wilsoncsd.org. We're monitoring that. We're monitoring that email. If you have no ability to chat, the chat function is on the bottom of the right-hand side of your screen. At least it's on mine. It says Wilson CSD say something. If you click on say something, you should get a cursor. You should be able to type in whatever word you want to, whatever question you want as we're going through, and we can make sure that we answer those questions. So in about 3 minutes, I'm going to get started at 12:02. I'm going to review the entire plan as best as possible. There's a couple assumptions that I have made, I have to make. One is that you have read the document. There was 145 pages of guidance, and the reopening team, which had teachers, parents, community members, administrators, board members on it, over 21 members, took that 145-page document and created a 40-page reopening plan that hit a number of areas: health and safety, communications, facilities, nutrition, transportation, social emotional well-being, the school schedules, attendance, technology and connectivity, teaching and learning, special education, staffing and human resources, and athletics and extracurricular. So all those areas were covered by the plan. My hope is it was as comprehensive as possible and also readable. I will say that the hybrid / continuity of learning plan was requested by the governor to be pulled out of the document and put on the website. We have till Friday to do that, and we will make it more readable with the chart and what elementary is going to do, what high school is going to do, and what middle school is going to do when we return. Again, all this is up to the governor. We still are awaiting last minute plans and things like that. Again, it is 12:01. I'm going to begin in a minute. I have 26 people joining. And if you're able to chat, please go ahead and do that. It's at the bottom of the right-hand page. It says Wilson CSD and say something. If your chat function is not working, you're allowed. You can email your question to tech at wilsoncsd.org, and we have that monitored also while this is going on. I see Mrs. Simpson, our tech facilitator, who's also with us in the room, is put in a chat that reflects what I said. So if you're unable to chat, your chat function's not working, you can chat. Thank you, Amy. Saw that. Appreciate it. So it is 2 minutes after 12. I'm going to get started with the program. I don't have the best camera picture view that everybody may have, but I'll do my best to get through. As I said, I apologize for the 11 o'clock delay, but we had two issues going on. One had to do with connectivity at our last session with the elementary. They told me I was fading in and out and blacking out the screen. So we thought it had to do with the Wi-Fi in my office. So we hardwired into the wall with this computer device, and it posed some issues. And then on top of it, the YouTube channel, as you probably experienced, was requesting us to log in, not just open up, which was a change recently to the YouTube. So between the two, we thought best not to power through, but to redo this. Thank you, Violet. I see you can chat also. This whole program is being taped right now, and just like the elementary, when we're all finished, it'll take a little bit. It takes about a few hours. It'll be posted up on our YouTube page, and it'll give you this session. As I mentioned once already, we're going to do 2 more middle school, so a total of 3 elementary conversations, 3 middle school conversations, and 3 high school conversations, town hall style, where the next one I'm not going to explain the plan at all. I'm going to do more of a frequently asked questions. We are in the process of having conversations about creating a frequently asked questions chart. I'll probably take that and use that as my beginning part of the next 2 sessions. And then we're going to have one full evening, 6 o'clock evening program that will everybody can come to. That schedule is created. In fact, it was finished yesterday, being verified this morning that we can get all these together. And then I'm hoping at some point today you'll get an email in your email box, and it'll be up on the district website with all of the dates for this. So to begin with, I want to say that the ultimate goal of all of this reopening is for all of us in Wilson community, parents, students, staff, teachers, to work together so that schools can reopen in as a normal fashion as possible, keeping in mind the health and safety of our students. This reopening plan, this 40-page document, is broken up into a number of sections. And I'm going to go through different sections with each of you. The rules of engagement for this program are basically, there really is no way for us to interact in a way that allows all of us to be together. If I was able to predict that I would only have 30, 40 people on, I probably would have sent out a Google Hangout and we could have done this verbally. But there's 250 middle schoolers, multiply that by 2 parents. There's no Google Hangout or device that allow us to do that very easily with that many people. But we're going to keep trying with this fashion. The elementary one went really well. Meaning I was able to answer the questions, all of the questions that were asked, and I'll do the same thing. As I'm talking, you can just fire in the questions. I will probably continue until I finish the overall plan, and then I will turn it over to Jennifer Pavan, who is the district clerk, and she will start firing questions at me. Okay, so let's start with cleaning and sanitation. Our facilities director, Mr. Harmon, has created a plan to make sure that all of our buildings are cleaned and sanitized on an everyday basis, with the middle school and high schools specifically with having a remote day on Wednesday. So that allows us to spend more time in the individual classrooms. Because we're changing cohorts from cohort A to cohort B on Thursdays and Fridays, because we're changing that over, we have to make sure that we're deep cleaning another set of students coming in. He not only has a plan for cleaning and sanitizing, he also has a accountability system in which each cleaner has a different area, and they are trained on the CDC guidelines for cleaning and sanitizing, and then they are also have the ability to sign off that they have completed that cleaning and sanitizing for the day. In each classroom, there's also hand sanitizer, mounted to the wall along with individual hand sanitizers. So every time a student walks into a classroom, he's going to be asked to sanitize their hands before moving forward and sitting down in their seat. When they finish the day, before I finish the class, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to sanitize their hands before they walk out the door. So that's the sanitizing and cleaning. Again, if you have any questions about sanitizing and cleaning of the building, you're welcome to put that into a chat format. Student screening. So part of our plan and part of the guidelines requires our students to screen themselves or be screened by a parent prior to them going to school. Our tech department is in the process of completing a screening document which is broken down by the student's homeroom. So when the page has been created on the web page, it's not live yet, so you can't see it. But when it does go live, every morning, a parent or student will open up this page, click on their homeroom teacher, the grade first, and then their homeroom teacher, and then a COVID screen will come up, asking them all the questions that many of us are being asked when we go into work or going into the different haircut places or having appointments with doctors or dentists. You're asked all those questions. Do you have a fever? All those different things. So the students are going to be asked, or the parents of the students are going to be asked to take that screen prior to leaving school. As I said, it's our job as a community to work together. We have a lot of parts and a lot of things we need to do at school to make sure that the kids are as safe as possible. I also need the parents and the kids to help out to make sure that they're screening themselves. I don't think it's unwieldy to wake up in the morning, take a screen, or have a parent take a screen, take your temperature, answer the questions, walk out of the door. It takes really, really a short period of time. Yes, kids are going to forget. We're going to be double checking by the time they get to school, by the time attendance is being taken. If they didn't take the screen, they're going to be sent down to the nurse's office for a screening to be taken. And I know the teachers are going to hold them accountable for the screen also. But I do not believe it's an unwielding thing to ask someone to do a screen. Every teacher aide, secretary, every administrator, and even myself before I come to work every morning since we reopened for the summer, we've been taking a similar screen. Yes, sometimes we forget and you need a reminder, and we'll give them that reminder. But for the most part, it becomes part of the natural part of the day. I get up in the morning, before I drink my coffee, I sit in my chair, and I take the screen. It takes less than 30 seconds. If I forget, I had to take it, pull over to the side of the road in my car, and quickly take it before I go. And if I happen to forget, when I look and check all the staff members, I see, oops, I didn't take it. I quickly take it. So it's part of what we have to do, and it's also record of our contact tracing. So it's part of our contact tracing. So if the Department of Health says they want to know who's been in contact with so-and-so, we know who's in that building that day by the screen and things like that. So that's the health screen. Again, if you have any questions about the health screen, please put that in the chat at the side of the computer screen. If the chat doesn't work, please email it to that tech@wilsoncsd.org. We have a question.
We have a question.
All right, I'll stop for a question.
If there is a deep cleaning on Wednesdays, does that mean there will be no teachers in the building? Meaning, should students expect Google Classroom or some live feed from teachers?
I would expect a sort of a mix of both. We are planning on teachers being in the building as of right now. The deep clean is going to be around the teachers, hallways, bathrooms, cafeterias, all those areas. And then as soon as the teachers leave, they'll go into classrooms, or when they're on breaks, go into classroom. That schedule is going to be made. So as of right now, I'm expecting a mix of both. Synchronous, which means in the moment where the student logs in when the teacher's class is happening. That's synchronous virtual learning. And then asynchronous is when the teacher sends out an assignment along with a video. And I've asked the teachers to do both. An assignment along with a video explaining the assignment or explaining the direct instruction behind that. So a child can review that multiple times in order to reteach or relearn what they're supposed to do. We've also talked about office hours, a period of time like 12th period, where a student can remote in, call in, email in to the teacher, because all our classrooms have phones and computer technology now. To remote in, call in, or email into the teacher to get some extra assistance during that 12th period, both for our students that are here and at home. I'm sorry, that's a bell. The bells are going off. My phone will probably ring somewhere in here, but that's one of the issues with live TV. So I hope I answered that question. As of right now, I do expect the teachers to be in the building, and throughout all of the remote learning, there's going to be a mix of live and a mix of asynchronous, which is an assignment with the video. It just depends on the class. I have impressed upon the teachers that synchronous, that live instruction, is very important for all of our kids. More than half of their kids are not even going to be in front of them, so they're going to have to do as much live, synchronous, remote learning as possible. Okay, so I did student screening and cleaning and sanitation. I'm going to go to health and safety. So I think the health and safety, I'm going to pull the plan over so I make sure I cover all the areas. The health and safety plan for this particular building is very comprehensive, and it begins with those health checks that I talked about. Our nurses' offices have isolation rooms in them, so if any student that tests yes to any of those questions or throughout the day becomes ill and their answer goes from no to yes, they are able to go down to the nurse. The nurse will take their symptoms, put them in check their symptoms, put them in an isolation room, call a parent to come get them. And then there will be procedures for what the parent has to do before the child will be able to return. Now, those procedures and those protocols are up on the website and in the plan. They do require that if a child is symptomatic, needs to go see the doctor clears. School districts cannot diagnose, school districts cannot clear a child to return to school. That's what doctors do. The doctors will determine whether or not your child needs a COVID test, and the doctor will need to give you a note saying that you're going to need to return to school. That's why it is really important for every teacher and every student to understand that there's going to be some times when you're going to be live, and sometimes in person meeting, and sometimes remote. So we're all going to have to get used to that, to both of those buckets, because if it's an A day, or A cohort day, and you're in Monday and Tuesday, and you come down and you're sick, you still can work, and you can still work. You can remote in on those days and stay home, but you don't return unless the doctor says you're able to come back to school. Okay, hope I made that clear. So, in all of this, there is a bunch of hygiene, hand wash hygiene, cough hygiene, all sorts of proper things that we have to teach to the kids. And in turn, I have to work with the teachers and create materials for them to be able to work with the students. In all of that, there is going to be change to the beginning of the school year. So last night's board meeting, there was an approval of a new calendar. I will talk about that calendar change in a second, but I'm getting a signal over my shoulder that there's a question. So this is Pavan.
Is there going to be a change in the class time, gym time, or lunch time?
No, we're still, as of right now, we're still doing the period by period system. So that's not going to be changed. We're going to have, in order for us to open up in a hybrid in the high school and the middle school, we need to shrink the number of kids in the class. That's why we're offering the distance learning, plus the state says we have to offer full distance learning. So a parent can choose to keep their child home, or they can choose to have them enter into the hybrid model. We'll stay in this hybrid model, AA and BB, Thursday and Friday, until we're able to return full time. The guidelines are very, very strict on returning full time live in person, meaning we have to maintain, if we can't maintain a 6 feet distance all the time, students would have to wear masks all day long. And it's not something that, when we did the feel in the community, it's not something that people were really looking for, was to have kids wear masks all day long. Many of the community wanted either a live in person, a hybrid mix, or a full distance learning. So that's what we're providing with this particular. As soon as we're able to come back in, the guidelines lessen, we will come back. There's a couple more questions.
Do students bring Chromebooks to school, or are they just for use at home?
Both. So you're going to bring them to school in the hybrid model. So on the days you're supposed to be in school in person, you need to bring your Chromebook with you because they're going to log in school also. So I have told and talked to the teachers that whether or not a child's in front of you or not, you're still going to need them to log in because there needs to be a sense of community. The kids at home need to see the kids in school, and they will. Especially if you've seen one of the Google Hangouts or one of the Zoom meetings, it'll look like that. All the kids' screens will be in the screen. The difference is the kids that are in school will also be able to engage with the teacher and engage getting extra assistance in the moment. The kids at home are going to have to wait till the teacher comes over to the screen and does that. That's why it's important to have that 12th period as office hours so those kids that are home can get some extra assistance. I hope that makes sense. Another question?
So do all the kids need to have a Chromebook then?
Yes. Every kid needs to have a Chromebook. Yep. Because every student is going to be remote at some point. I'm hoping I'm making that clear. If you choose distance learning, you need to be remote at home. If we're using hybrid, if you choose hybrid, remember that Google form is out there and that time has been extended to Friday for you to make that choice. If you don't make a choice by Friday, you're going to start getting phone calls starting next week of which way you want to go. So the answer to that question is yes. Every child needs a Chromebook. If you did not pick it up yesterday, the day before, today, you're going to need to get call that 751-9399 number that I keep putting out there. That goes to the district clerk. She will get you in touch with the tech department, and they'll set up a pickup time for you. But yes, you need to have a good question. There was a follow-up from Nikki about because he has her own, it looks like he has a computer. We are asking, because of the firewalls that we have in our technology department, he can use his own computer for his own work, meaning stuff he wants to do on his own that doesn't have anything to do with school. But when he's logging in remotely and doing synchronous work or asynchronous work, or logging into the system or logging into like a 12th period class, they do need to use a district computer. Home computers do not have the same firewalls that we do. And when you're logged in, they have to follow the code of conduct. And one of the items of the code of conduct is that I'm not allowed to give him access to certain things. He has access to that stuff at home. I cannot give kids access to that. So therefore, if he has a computer at home, that's great. He can use it for whatever research he needs to do or whatever things he wants to do. But when he's logging in remotely and when he's doing his work in school, for school, he needs to use a school computer. So if you didn't pick your computer up because you thought you had one, you need to call that 751-9399 number. Thank you, Nikki, for that clarification. I wasn't thinking that wrong. Any other questions? Okay, awesome. Let me find my little paper here to make sure I'm covering everything I'm supposed to cover. So I left off with the change. I left off with the change in the schedule at the beginning of the year. And you don't have to worry if you don't have a pen to write this down. We will put a new student calendar up on the website, and you'll be able to download it with these change. Yes, I will have. Are you able to type into that? Yeah, Mrs. Pavan will type in the phone number for everyone to call. It is 751-9399. Thank you, Jamie. Got it faster than we could. 751-9399. Nikki, there's another 9 in there. So it's the one that Jamie Mueller put in, 751-9399. So that number is available. It goes directly to our district clerk's desk. She answers it. If she's not at her desk, she takes a message and ends up returning your call. You want to speak to me directly? That's the number you call. She'll forward, if I'm in the office and I'm not on a video chat or I'm not in a meeting, I will take your call. If not, she writes one of those pink notes out. I call it as soon as I get a chance. If you're not available during the day, give the time when you aren't available. I don't mind answering any questions. If I have the answer for you, I'll get it. I'll give it to you. So there is a change at the beginning of the school year this year. Our old schedule had September 2nd as a superintendent's conference day, and then the first day of students was Tuesday, September 8th. That has changed. So we have put 3 superintendent conference days in the beginning of the school year. That's the only change so far to the calendar. Is the first week of school is going to look a little different. So here it goes. So superintendent conference day on September 2nd, that's still there. So teachers will return and staff will return. I have superintendent's conference day on the 8th, which is Tuesday, and a superintendent's conference day on the 9th, which is Wednesday. Almost every district in the area has changed that first week because of 2 reasons. One, we're asking teachers to do a lot when it comes to remote instruction and in-home instruction. And we're asking the kids to do a lot when it comes to remote and in school. And we kind of need that first week to help out getting them ready. So we're taking those 3 days to get our teachers ready to be able to handle the remote instruction, the synchronous instruction, give them the equipment to be able to do it, practice the equipment, and then also start creating the video lessons so they can link them to the assignments, get the assignments ready. So everything is going to be passed out remotely. Even if you're in class, you may not even get papers for things. Many of the supply lists are going to change too. So if one of the things that I know Mr. Benton sent out to parents was hold on buying those supply lists because it may change a little bit. We may not need all the paper and folders and things like that. So the Tuesday and Wednesday, the 8th and 9th of September are now superintendent's conference day. So Thursday and Friday, kids are going to return. They're going to return like this. Thursday is going to be cohort A. Again, this is on the website. It will be. And Friday will be cohort B. We will deep clean and sanitize in between those 2 cohorts. The reason for doing that has to do with the training. So not only are we training teachers on healthy hand hygiene, how to walk in the hall, directionality, these stairs are stairs going up, these other stairs are the stairs going down, respiratory hygiene, when you cough, what you need to do, you need to cough in your arm, into a tissue, you use a tissue, you throw it out, you wash your hands, all those things. There's signs and symptoms that we have to recognize. All those trainings we have to do, we're creating videos for the teachers to watch. And then on that day, Thursday when cohort A is there, and then Friday when cohort B is there, that day is going to be rituals, routines, and training. Training on how to remote in, training on how to not remote in. So on the Thursday and Friday, Thursday, it's the A kids. They're the only kids that are going to participate. The B kids on that day are going to be at home. Friday, the opposite. Friday, B kids come in, and the kids that are A are not going to participate remotely. We're going to just train that small group of kids. We're also going to create videos so the kids at home on those days are not going to have to participate because we're training the kids in school on how to use it. We'll do some training for the students that are distance learning also. So that means the 14th of September, that Monday the 14th, that really starts our hybrid Monday, Tuesday, AB, Wednesday remote, Monday, Tuesday, AA cohort, Wednesday remote, Thursday, Friday, BB cohort. Okay. So that gives us that full first week, first to train the teachers, and then to train all the kids. So I hope that makes sense. And do we have any more questions? All right.
Question. Are the students required to be logged in for the total hours for the school day?
It's going to be in and out. Each teacher is going to have a different method for that. The way I envision it is, in fact, that one of the teachers asked this question just does a kid have to be logged in for the entire class period? I think the attendance is going to be a little bit different on the remote days, in the fact that it's going to be, yes, if they remote in. If a student gets the direct instruction, understands what they're doing, and can do the assignment on their own, there's no reason why that student has to stay logged in. As long as they turn the assignment in, again, the assignment will have a little reminder video too. As long as the assignment is turned in by the end of the day, they don't have to log in for the entire period or the entire class. Some teachers are going to be doing that method. Some are going to be doing asynchronous for certain days. It just depends on the day. Kids are going to have to log in synchronously. I don't envision them logging into every class all day long, synchronous. But there's going to be a lot of, there's going to be a lot of Zoom calls. I also said to the teachers, you're going to have to be ready for what just happened to us, the curveball. You think you're going to knock it out of the park, and 11 o'clock comes around and video chat doesn't work. Got to be ready for that. Got to push a quick message out to all your students. Hey, we're going to retry this. Please go on into your book, read this page, blah, blah, do this assignment, and send that out through email. We're all going to have to be flexible with that because technology is awesome, but it's only good as when the technology works. And there are going to be times when the technology doesn't work. So everybody's going to have to be ready for that curveball. So there's another question.
It's a two-part question.
Okay.
When are student schedules being mailed out?
Great question. Don't know. I'll have a better update for you when we meet the next time, and I'll get that time out. I have a sheet somewhere. I don't know where it is when we're meeting again, but it's before next Friday. So I have 7 sessions between Monday and next Friday. So in the next 2 weeks, I'll have that answer for you when they're coming out. I'm going to be honest. The slowdown has to do with we have to put everybody in one of those 3 cohorts. Either you're in cohort A, you're in cohort B, you're in C, which is elementary in the high school 12-1 class, or you're in cohort D. And we have to determine, which is the digital class, we have to determine, are we under the number for each classroom to be able to be occupied, to be 6 feet apart, and allow students to take mask breaks. And that we have to allow mask breaks. And the only way I can see it working really well is if we shrink the number of kids down, stay 6 feet apart, just like at a restaurant. When you're sitting down, you can take the mask off. When you stand up and move around in the hall or in the classroom, you put the mask on. So that's my answer to the first part is I'll know more in the next week or so. There's some changes to schedules. There's been some retirements and all sorts of switches around. We're kind of, playing with the number. We were all set, ready to go, and then we had this cohort thing. My hope is, and the counselors are working on it, and my hope in the next week or two, I'll be able to give you a definitive, here's when it's going to go up. Okay. Second part of that question?
Second part is, are students going to be able to attend BOCES and how?
Got a high school question in there, but that's okay. The answer is yes, they are going to be able to attend BOCES. So it's going to be a little bit different. I didn't even get to transportation yet. So as of right now, this is August 12th at 12:31. As of right now, BOCES is running 5 days a week. They say they can social distance, they can do all those things. They're able to work with the hands-on piece. I don't have exactly their plan. Welcome to give them BOCES a call and see if they have anything that they can give you specifically on what they're doing there. All I know is they've told us they're going live and in person 5 days a week. Maybe they're putting barriers up. I don't know. They have a whole shop area. Maybe they're making barriers in their shop area. They haven't really. All I know is they've communicated they're going 5 days. So that means if your student is in a cohort at the high school, on Monday and Tuesday, we will transport your child to BOCES and back from BOCES. If you're on the opposite cohort and you're at home, we will still transport. But the issue is we only can transport from school. So one of 3 things can happen. You can bring if the child can't go to BOCES that day, or is not going to school that day, not going to school that day, you can transport to school, and we'll get them to BOCES. Or you could transport right to BOCES if you live closer to the Sanborn site. Some people do. Or they are allowing kids to drive. And I know that not all juniors may have a license yet, but those are the 3 options. I don't have the ability. time-wise to send those BOCES buses out to the community to pick them up, because when the seniors drop off, here, the juniors get on right away and they head out the BOCES within, not 5 minutes, but within a few minutes they're heading out the BOCES. So we do not have the time to go out and get students and then get them to BOCES at time. Not to mention the fact I don't have the ability to put on a whole separate run to go out into the community. STA has already said they don't have the buses for it. We may be able to get one more bus for a midday run to help alleviate some of the spreading out the kids, but I'm not going to have the time nor the ability to go out into the community. So if your child is in BOCES, there's going to have to be a commitment level on the parents to either have the child walk to school if you're close enough, or be driven to school or to BOCES, or the child can drive themselves. And they're going to get that information out to parents. Another question?
Great.
Awesome.
Are you requiring certain style or types of masks? I've heard some work better than, say, a scarf or bandana.
Nope. Cloth mask is what the requirement for state ed was. Just remember exactly. Well, let me look close to the page. Yep, just a cloth mask. That's all they're requiring. I didn't talk about the facility entrance. So once the students are in, we're going to still use the same doors to come into the school in the morning. We're going to have to do some work with the middle school drop off. We know that. We've been talking about it. We just need to put the plan in paper and get the information out, because the only way transportation is going to work is if the parents who said they would be willing to transport actually do commit to transporting. So we had about half of our district, when we did the first survey, said that they would transport, and now we've got a lot less than half that are actually committing to transporting the kids. So that being said, the only way that's going to work is if they come into school, and if we get enough to drive to school. If not, we're going to social distance the best we can and wear masks on the bus. But yeah, masks are required, and all they have to do is be cloth masks. If a student shows up without one, we'll give them one. They are required to wear. It will be a problem if a child refuses to wear a mask. They are welcome to be in school if they follow the social distance and mask guidelines. Unfortunately, they're not welcomed if they're going to choose not to wear it. That will be a problem. We'll have to deal with the building principals. There's another question.
We have a high school question.
Oh, go ahead. High school question.
What about the college level classes for seniors if they choose to distance learn?
They ran in the fall. I don't see any problem with it. College level classes will run also distance learning and in person, hybrid. They will run. Many of those courses were already using Google Classroom, and my hope is they continue with that. I know they're going to continue with that, and also supplement some of the synchronous and asynchronous. I've asked every time an assignment is put up, I want some kind of instructional piece with it, that kids are not just doing an assignment and it's the first time they've seen. So that is something that I will hold everybody to, is that I don't want any student floundering without knowing how to work on that. And it's easy as a short video clip. We did procure a program. It's called Kami, Kami, which you're welcome to go and Google, and it allows a student to interact with a teacher's document, because many middle school and high school teachers, a lot of their stuff is stuff. It's material. It's the packet things that you're getting home. Those thousands of packets and textbooks and things like that we get. Well, this program allows the teacher to scan that document in and push it out through Google Classroom. And it allows your child to individually be able to work on that assignment with a keyboard by highlighting with the mouse, text box, and type right on the document, and then they can submit that document back to the teacher. Or with a stylus, which is a pen for a computer without ink, a stylus, they're able to write and do the work right on the worksheet and then send it back into the teacher. that way. So that's one of the programs that we've been working on getting, and it's one of the things we have to teach the teachers how to use at the beginning of the year. And the teachers will be working with the kids on those 2 training days at the beginning of the school year. Another question?
Yes.
Did I answer the last one? Okay. I forget who I'm telling what to.
Please confirm
Okay.
the Google Forms that have gone out. Distance learning form only filled out by those opting for distance learning.
Up there, correct. Distance learning form for Google only gets filled out if you're going to do distance learning. That's it.
Transportation form by everyone.
Transportation form should be filled out only by the people who are committing to transport their child to school. And I know we put the January 22nd deadline on there, or the January 22nd. Don't let that scare you. If you're committing to transport your child. If there's a day or two or you need assistance, we will work with you. But the most important thing is we know who is going to transport their child.
And Chromebook form by everyone, but Chromebooks are only for 6th through 12th grade.
Chromebook form for everyone. Right now, 6 through 12, within a week, when all the rest of them are in, pre-K through 5 will get theirs also. It'll be a little closer to the school year, but everyone, the entire district will have a Chromebook.
We have another question.
Sure.
We heard there will be no 7th grade advanced math, but rather those kids will join regular 8th grade math.
Don't know. That's a great building-specific question. Please give Mr. Benton a call. If you don't have Mr. Benton's number, call 751-9399, and Mrs. Pavan will forward you to Mr. Benton and get that question. I haven't heard that. I would think I would have. It's a possibility. I've done that in the past, and I know that's done in other districts, where instead of having a 7th grade advanced, they put the advanced kids into the 8th grade or an accelerated 8th grade program. I don't know if that's what we're doing for next year. That specific wasn't given to me.
And are the Chromebook stylus available? Do we need to purchase a stylus, or is the school providing?
Yeah, the school's not going to be able to provide the stylus. We are going to get that information out to you. The 2 things you're probably going to have to purchase is a stylus and a pair of headphones. Neither of them are that expensive. And what I've told the teachers is when they're recreating, and I know the middle schools, some of the grade levels already have recreated, and those will be posted. I've said you need to shrink before you can add. If we're going remote, and we're going remote, whether you're in school or not, the number of things you need are going to be less, because one of the things we're going to do is starting the year off, we're not going to have lockers, because that's one more surface I have to clean every single night, inside and out. So it's much easier if I just have to wipe down the outside. So kids are going to be walking with their computer and all their materials in their book bag. I do not want heavy book bags. I don't want textbooks going back and forth. That Chromebook is their textbook going back and forth. Give them the material. If you want them to read a chapter, scan the chapter in, send it to the students, and they can read that chapter. And then they can interact with it too using the Kami program. So the amount of material that they need to purchase should be shrunk before that you actually have to buy. The styluses, we're getting a brand that works. Last I heard, they're like $10 or $11. I'm going to tell you real honestly, if I purchase them, I'm going to purchase them in bulk. We don't have the funds to do all of that also, but also we're not going to get them in, because anytime you purchase things in bulk, they don't come in, especially now during this time age. But if you're buying one item at a time off of Amazon, it's much easier to get. Mrs. Simpson's answering some questions online. So if you see Bonnie Simpson with the W coming up, she's helping out with some of our questions. So Jamie, please call that 751-9399 number, and we'll get that directed to where you need to be. All right, another questions?
Will clubs or organizations still be going on, like Newspaper Honor Society, etc.?
Great, awesome question. We're going to be starting the year with no extracurricular activities. I'm going to be honest, I will add them back when I can. Once we have the routine and ritual of the buildings down. Right now, it's easy to clean buildings because there's only about 25 of us in. I'm going to add hundreds more moving around the building. As soon as I have an idea of how the cleaning process and procedures are going, we'll start slowly bringing that stuff back. But I would expect in September that any extracurricular club is not going to happen, because when the last student leaves, the cleaning, sanitizing crew starts just going through this entire building. Every hard surface, every soft surface, every building, every room, every hallway, everything has to be touched with a hand sanitizer, or we have these sanitizing wands that sanitize certain rooms. So we're going to be doing that every single night, spending extra time on the Wednesday. That's why we picked that as a remote day, because we wanted to have it in between cohorts. So I hope that question, I answered that question. Now, one more question. Awesome.
Will buses be coming in the mornings around the same time or different times due to less students riding the buses this year?
Great question. We're routing them now. The first thing was to split them into two cohorts, A, B, well, actually all four cohorts, A, B, C, and D, and then we'll start routing them. Anyone who's already chosen distance learning, and fill out that form, we've sent that to the bus garage and we pulled them off the route. So that will continue. Once we have an idea, Friday that form closes, we averaged in the first regional survey around 20% of our district wanted to choose distance learning, which is about 5 kids per classroom. If you use 20 as the average class, some classes are smaller than that, some are slightly bigger. So somewhere around 5 kids per class will be distance learning. So that being said, that takes about 20% off the bus. Now you split the remaining 80%, it'll be about 40% of a bus for one day, 40% of the bus for the other day. That's without subtracting parents driving. So the more parents that will commit to driving, the less kids we're having on the bus. We're going to load the bus from back to front. We're going to social distance. Our plan is to mask every day on the bus and social distance as much as possible. Every other seat, only kids from the same family sitting next to each other. If that, that's what's in our plan. If that plan gets it approved, that's where we're gonna go with it. If it doesn't get approved, then we'll have to go back to the drawing board with something else. The guidance was a little different on that, and I saw like 5 different ways people were interpreting it. I put it in our plan: social distancing as much as possible, wearing masks, and we will run with that. We are going to load buses from back to front, and we're going to unload buses from front to back, because just like the hallways, any distance less than 6 feet, I don't want kids crossing. In our hallways, we have just over 6 feet. So if kids walk single file down the right side, left side going this way, we can keep that 6 feet distance, plus they have masks on. Our stairways are only about 4 feet. So we took the high school and the middle school, and the middle school is a little different because they don't go upstairs as much, but if they do, we have designated designated stairwells. There's 6 stairwells, I think I was told, in the high school. We took 3 of them, and they're up stairwells, and the other 3 are down stairwells. Kids will get used to that, just like they do every other ritual routine. And that's why we're doing those training days, just to go through that. Another, go ahead, fire them.
Okay. Another viewer wants to know about after-school sports.
Yeah, so after-school sports are on hold right now. I think the date is the 23rd of September. But, I mean, if you've been watching anything on TV, any of the college sports, about half of the sports conferences have delayed any seasons until January. I'm not necessarily a betting man, but I'm guessing that that's going to be what they're going to do is they're going to delay to January, and then try to get the 3 seasons in. I've seen a couple models of that. I don't know for sure. Right now, all I know is they're delaying. I think it's till the 21st or the 23rd of September before they're going to make a decision. Until then, there's no practices. There's nothing going on unless we're given permission to do so. Again, I can't have kids in the fitness room. I can't have anyone in any of the buildings after school hours, because I have to get the cleaning crews going. That'll give me a whole month of September and Everybody's in a ritual and a routine. And if I can find out that I can, or for sanitizing, that I can figure out that I don't need right at 3:30 to start cleaning. I can start at 5 and we still can get the building going. Then we can talk. What I can't have is we started sanitizing and kids come through and start touching things. Now I have to go back and do it all over again. That's just not going to work. And I'm sure you know the same thing because we all washed the floor and they had someone walk over it. And that's just not going to work in our school building. And hopefully, as I said in the beginning, our goal is to get back to as normal as possible. Hopefully, we'll be able to get back to some semblance of normal. Another question?
Another question. Would students be carrying their backpacks and coats if there's no lockers available?
Well, like I said starting the year, we're not going to have lockers. September usually is not, most of October is usually not a coat month. Once in a while, I'll see sweatshirts and things like that, and kids wear their sweatshirts all day long. So yeah, to start the year, I would say we're not doing lockers, book bags. We're not doing lockers, so book bags with all their stuff in it need to be carried. And that's why I've had that conversation with staff about I wouldn't be sending out textbooks. I wouldn't be, if you do, it's a textbook for home and a text for school. I don't want textbooks going home. The only thing the child should bring in his book bag is personal belongings and their Chromebook and charging cord and stylus and things like headphones and things like that. So that's what we're doing to begin the year. I am well aware winter's coming. My hope is that by then I can have an idea of the time it takes to sanitize the building without going into the lockers. And if time permits, we'll add the locker layer back in, or we'll add the after school activity layer back in. So I'm being cautious. There's always the chance that at any time, for whatever reason, the Department of Health declares that we need to isolate the entire building, or there's a reason why we need to all go remote for a period of time. So it's going to be very fluid. The traditional sense of a school year is not going to be like it's been in the past. Just like the traditional end of last school year, I think we're going to be better able to. It's part of the reason why I didn't go remote last year. Could we have? I could have forced it, but our teachers weren't ready, our kids weren't ready, and I didn't want to have to put that burden upon anybody. So we stuck with the packet thing as much as possible. Teachers have had the summer. They'll have the first 3 days at the beginning of the year, and we'll be ready to implement a remote/distance learning. So I'm guessing that it's not going to, Georgia was in a week and a half, and their infection rate went up. Now we're doing a lot better in this area, and now Georgia is back out again. Their schools are no longer in session. We're doing a lot better in this area here in Niagara County. My hope is that we're running, pretty standard, meaning at least moving through the school year. But again, kids' attendance is going to fluctuate in and out depending on symptoms. That doesn't mean their attendance needs to be marked as absent if they're logging in remotely. Okay? So that's something to keep in mind. Another question?
If we choose distance learning and the school is able to open for full-time in-person learning, can my son attend in-person before January?
I'm keeping that as fluid as possible. I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say yes. I'm going to say that's a reason to have a phone call with the building principal, with me. Let's talk about that. If we're going in person, I'm using this as my guideline. School works the best when kids and teachers are in school. When I have kids and teachers together, that's the best possible relationship. That's the best possible learning environment. So the answer to that question is I cannot envision saying no to anyone if we're going back to full learning. I really can't. I want them all in school. I want them all in school now. I don't even want them to leave, but unfortunately we got to the winter break or summer break. So I'm saying that January time just to put a date out there to say, hey, listen, but I'm envisioning that if kids are struggling on distance learning, we're going to have a conversation with that parent and say, listen, maybe we'll bring them back. What do you think? Are you comfortable with that? If you're not, okay, but what other supports can we do? And the opposite's going to be true too. Kids are going to get sick. There's going to be long-term illnesses that maybe the child can work better on in a remote setting. So I'm expecting both of that going on. Any other questions? Okay,
How is lunch going to work?
I have no clue yet. I have 3 weeks to figure that out. They're going to eat. I have to provide lunches for the kids in school, and I have to provide lunches for the kids outside of school. So our food service department, Mrs. Bell's the director of food services. She's working on a plan for providing food for any of the students that are distance learning. Now, again, with that partnership with families, we are going to require the family to come pick up the lunch. There'll be a one door at the high school, middle school, where in the back zip parking lot, we'll distribute the meals there. Similarly, without any contact that we did with, during the shutdown, there is no, unfortunately, we can't do it for free lunches, but it is, unless you are free and reduced, you would pay whatever you would pay if the child was coming to school. If you don't need a lunch that day, you don't need to come get it. There'll be a reservation piece and things like that. Sorry. In school, they're going to run the regular lunch periods. So every lunch period will be half, because half the kids won't be there, cohort-wise. In the middle school, we are pulling out the deck tables, because the kids face each other and you can't have kids facing each other. Pulling out the tables, we're putting desks in. And we're going to count up the number of desks. And once we have the cohort split, and that's why I said I'm not 100% sure yet, but we have a plan. We just got to make sure it works. We'll pull out the cohorts, separate them, count up all the kids that are in each lunch period, and make sure we have enough desks in that 6 feet away. Because you have to be 6 feet away at lunch, because we have to require them to take their masks off. If we run out of space, I'm guessing we're going to get 40 to 50 desks 6 feet apart in there. I'm not 100% sure until we actually start measuring them off and put on little stickers on the floor. Then, if that overflow, we're going to go to another room. We have a large group room that we use for board meetings and things like that when the auditorium's not full. We're going to put desks in there. Between those two rooms, Mr. Benton and Mrs. Bell are very confident we have enough for the middle school to eat lunch. They're going to go through line like they would go in line. They're not going to be able to reach in for food. There'll be someone behind the glass with PPE on, and they will be putting the food into a styrofoam container, handing it to the kids. Kids go and sit down, take the mask off, eat. When they're done, and they keep everything in front of them until the lunch period is over, put the mask on, they walk their stuff as they're leaving and throw it out all together in the lunch. That's sort of the big umbrella thought. We just got to get the details in between. There's another question.
Will there be a music class?
Yes, there will be music class. Not in the traditional sense. Now, again, there's going to be half of the kids in every class, because cohort A and cohort B, plus subtract the kids that are not going to be here for distance learning, meaning they'll be remote. So in person, there's only going to be half. So we are able to put them in the music room, social distance them, and be able to do both remote music and in-person music. What that looks like, Mrs. Andres, for high school and middle school music teachers are working on that. But yes, there will be individual course, smaller group course sessions. There won't be any large group, because in music class and gym class, which is our two biggest problems when it comes to the coronavirus guidelines, they have to be 12 feet apart in order to sing, play an instrument, or participate in physical activity. Most of the gym is going to be outside on good days, and on bad days it'll be inside, and they're going to be doing some very low-key activities that cannot be breathing heavy, breathing hard in the gym, because they have to be 12 feet apart. There's another question? Good. Alrighty, let me keep going. Technology-wise, so actually it helped me with food service. I think I went through everything with food service. We will provide food. That was one of the things I wanted to catch on. Technology-wise, besides the Chromebook and the need for the student to get a stylus and a headphone, and like I said, Mrs. Simpson is going to put together a list of which ones are going to be and where you can get them from, and we'll email them out to the entire district. The other piece of technology is, we know from the original survey about 96% of the community has pretty good internet. That's what they've told us. We know the people that don't have, and we're going to start reaching out to them and say, are you near a cell tower? Do do you get cell service? Because if you get cell service but you don't have internet because the internet provider hasn't put it there yet, we can give you a hotspot. We have purchased some hotspots for students to loan in order to be able to connect to the internet. I'm also anticipating some connectivity problems because 2, 3, 4, 5 kids in the same household may be in remote mode logging in at the same time. So we may have to issue out some more of those hotspots in order to help that issue. But that's sort of the plan right now, technology-wise. And also, technology-wise, we'll be working with the kids to get them to be up to speed on those training days on Google Classroom, Google Docs, this Tammy program, and all the things that have to do with being in a remote world. Because at any moment, we could all end up remote for one reason or the other. Any other questions?
What about changing for gym class? Will there be no gym lockers and the kids have to carry extra clothes with them each gym day?
Don't have an answer yet. That's a great question. Ms. Pavon's going to write that down, and I'll talk to the building principals and the athletic director to see what best to do. We haven't really got into the details of what the gym lessons are going to look like, but that's a great question. One I'm hoping to have for you before we have our next answer. I'll have for you before we have our next in-person or town hall meeting. If not, I'll send it out through email. The open house we haven't talked about yet, which is not for a few months anyways. But we have talked a little bit about 6th grade orientation. So if your child's going into 6th grade, Mr. Benton is working on a virtual orientation. And I know he had dabbled in possibly some tours and things like that in small groups. He'll get some information out to the 6th grade parents, I'm sure, fairly shortly.
Another one. How will gym classes and music classes work for distance learning?
Great. It's going to be, the music's a little bit different. If it's a music theory class, then that's based on assignments. Give me 1 second. Thank you. So if it's a music theory class, that will work more on the assignment base. But if we're talking about ensemble courses or chorus, that's going to be totally different. That they are going to be singing online, and they'll be singing in person. And it might be certain days. It's more asynchronous for a group at home, and the opposite for the kids in school. I know Mrs. Andres and the music teachers for the middle school and high school starting to have that conversation to kind of, work it out. As I told the teachers, I'm meeting with them this week to go through the plan too. So I've met with all 3 buildings, and the first time it's, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm going to do. But through conversation and just meeting with their colleagues, they're going to start working out the details. So I don't have a perfect answer for you other than the fact that we are going to have music class. Some of the kids are going to be home. Some of the kids are going to be here. I told every one of the teachers, you have to consider yourself a remote instructor right now until we're all allowed to come back. And the only way you can operate it, you can't double do things. You can't do a whole set lesson plan for the kids in school and a whole set lesson plan for the kids at home. You're going to have to do somewhat the same thing, except the kids that are coming to school, they're going to be in front of you. You'll be able to build that relationship on that day and things like that. So there is going to be some difference. So some of their activities are going to be, yes, the group at home is going to be singing with the group at here. One's virtual, one's not. So it'll be different. That's for sure. Did you get any more? All caught up. Good. So I talked about the teaching and learning, the continuity of learning plan, which is the hybrid and distance learning plan for the middle school. And I talked about synchronous and asynchronous. If there's no more questions about that, I won't beat that. We have a lot of detail to work out. We had 3 weeks to do it, 3 full days of training to try it out. And it's not a lot of time. It's going to be, I've used this analogy since March 17th, which was the first day we were not in school. This is all brand new to us all, and we're building an airplane while it's flying in the sky. That's the analogy I've been using because it's been trial and error. And some have worked, some hasn't worked, but we're going to keep the kids as safe as possible. We're going to keep them as distant as possible, and we're going to keep instruction going as much as possible. As of the 12th of August, there has not been any relief for 180 days of school, which is how school districts get funding. There has been no relief on Regents exams, New York State assessments, no relief on curriculum, which means as of right now, the teachers have to cover the same curriculum, and the students will still have to take the New York State assessments. I'm not saying that that's going to change. I'm just saying that as of right now, the assessments for the coming year are still in place. The curriculum is still in place, so the teachers have to cover that curriculum. Grading is going to be similar. Kids are going to be asked to turn in assignments. Those assignments are going to be graded. They're going to be returned to the students. The difference is it's going to be electronic. Instead of handing a piece of paper, and if your child is not engaging or is not going in asynchronous or is not logging into the class when he's being told, parents are going to be asked to get involved with that. And they're going to be, I'm envisioning virtual parent meetings, and, through Google Hangout. We've had a number of them already, both with our CSE meetings, but also with our 504 meetings. And we have had great attendance from parents and teachers through these meetings because they can meet where they're at. They don't have to take a full day off or half a day off and go meet. They can schedule it around a break or a lunch period and still be able to meet for that time. So I'm envisioning doing some more of those parent meetings. I know the teachers are going to hold kids accountable for their attendance. Attendance is going to be different. There will be some of it's going to be live synchronous attendance, student logging on, finding out why they didn't log on. And some of it's going to be if the student turns in the assignment by the required time, their attendance for that day is going to count too. So there's a bunch of different things that are going to play into that. Any other questions? I have, the clock's right here. I have 4 minutes after 1, which is about 20 minutes shorter than the first elementary one, but I don't mind going longer unless there's no other questions. If there's no other questions, I'll sign off here in a moment. Anything emailed in?
Yeah.
I'll give it a second because like I said, there is a bit of a minute or two delay for me to get the questions and for you to see the answer. So I'll wait until 5 minutes after 1, and if not, I will sign off. You're welcome, Nikki. Like I said, there's 2 more of these sessions, and I hope to have more answers, and I'm hoping you have more questions. We're taking these chat along the side and working on creating a frequently asked question with the answers right with it. It's a lot of getting things done, so I have 3 documents I have to get up on the website before Friday. I've mentioned it. I have to talk about how we're testing, which districts aren't testing, even though the governor keeps saying it. We're assisting the Niagara County Health Department with testing. We identify symptoms and signs, and we tell parents to go to their primary care physician or contact the Department of Health. They do the testing. When the testing is done, and if the student, teacher, parent is positive, the contact tracing is done by the professionals who know how to do it, which is the Niagara County Health Department. We assist them with information. Those 2 plans we're working out, sort of having common language among all the districts in Niagara County. And then the last document I have to have up by Friday is I have to take the common or the instructional learning plan that I sent out in my letter and is in the district's plan, and I've got to put it in a 1-page document to explain to all parents because the governor said that he didn't want parents digging through all their plans to find it. So I will do that by Friday. There's another question that came up. It was about the COVID test I saw.
Can we fill in one medical COVID temperature form for each child, or can we submit one as a family?
It is going to have to be by child, and I know that families that have more than 1 kid, it's going to be an issue. My suggestion is you take the 3 temperatures. If the child's old enough to put it in, please go ahead and put it in. Have them put it in. If they're not old enough to put it in, you're going to have to do it for them. I know it's a few seconds in the morning more to add to your routine, but I really need that. The requirements for us to take temperatures, so our nurses, our nurses' office are going to end up looking like a hospital ward because our nurses have to be in full PPE, gowns, masks, shields, N95 respirators, all of that stuff, just like a nurse in a hospital will have to be. And they have to wear that PPE in order to take their temperature. That's by the guidance from SCD and from the Department of Health. So I would have to provide that for anyone taking temperatures. And all along the way, I said, well, how can I do it? Do I do it when they come in the building? Well, if they do that when they come in the building, the kids just got on the bus, and if they're asymptomatic or they're symptomatic or have a fever, they just spread it to everybody on the bus. So the first line of defense has to be you guys at home. Know your kids, know if they're sick. If they're sick that day, have any symptom, mark yes, and call the nurse's office. They will direct you on what to do next. So unfortunately, yes, every family member has to fill out a COVID test. It's not by student. It's going to be linked to attendance. That's why. So eventually, once we get this up and running and working really well, the teacher initially is going to have to look at their class list of who they have in front of them, COVID screen, along with their attendance, and match it up. Eventually, we're going to do it all in through our Power Schools, which is our student management system. That's just going to take time to do, but it has to be by teacher, because the information is going to go to the individual teacher. And if that child's in front of them that doesn't have a screen, they're going to be sent down to the nurse's office. That's why it's so important for us all, because if a child comes in, doesn't take the screen, we find out they have a temperature, we've got to call the parent, isolate them, let the Department of Health know, and now we're contact tracing, and there could be some quarantining going on. So it's so important, parents, that we all do our part. You go to work, if you're going to work every day, or many of you are probably still working at home, but if you are entering the workforce every day, you know that you're being asked these screening questions, just like every one of my employees have. Another question?
Another scheduling question.
Yep.
When will we find out our child's AP assignments?
If you're A through L, you're in cohort A. If you're M through Z, you're cohort B. If you have two children in your household with opposite cohorts, we will put them together. That you'll know when the schedules come out.
Will there be art classes? Wondering how that would work with shared supplies.
There is going to be art classes. So let me think about that too. I read a question and it got me off on a tangent. I apologize. Let me get back into the topic here. So art classes. So the guidelines for commonly touched items, both by the CDC, the American Pediatrics Association, Department of Health, is the teacher, I'm going to use clay, it's probably the easiest one to use. Teacher washes their hands or sanitizes their hand, passes out the clay on every table, walks away, washes and sanitizes their hand again. Students come in the door, wash or sanitize their hand, work with the clay. When they're done, they wash and sanitize their hand. Now that's clay. The clay stays with the kids. It doesn't go between kids. Now let's do art supplies. Art supplies, same thing. Child washes their hands. Teacher washes their hands before and after touching every common item. Therefore, all common items are sanitized. All people touching common items are sanitized. At the end of the day, those items are washed and moved through. That's what the guidelines say we have to do. Anytime you're touching any common item, you wash your hands before wash or sanitize your hand before or after touching it. There's a question: is a COVID temperature political with distance learning students also? I don't know what
Protocol, I think.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. No, sorry, Amy. I was looking at it at a distance, and every time I read in, I get real close to the screen. Is it a protocol for distance learning students? No. The COVID temperature check is only for students on the days they're coming to school. So I don't think I made that clear, because I'm just thinking about it. I didn't have to say that to the elementary group because they're either staying home or coming in every day. So the COVID test is only for the days the kids are coming to school. So cohort A only takes their test temperature and does the test on Monday and Tuesday. Cohort B does it Thursday and Friday. Thank you, Amy. I'm glad you made me clarify that. I'll give it another second for any other questions. And if not, I will say goodbye and sign off to my next meeting. I will remark that this will be, this is being videoed. It'll take an hour or so after this show that for the video to be uploaded. I'll get another schedule out very soon for 2 more sessions, and then also that evening session. So if I know there's only 35 people on right now, I know there's more than 35 parents with questions, but they can get a chance to watch this in a video mode, and then they can call. Again, if you have any more questions, any issues, problems, worried about something, please call that number 751-9399, and Mrs. Pavan will direct your question, or if you want to speak to me, I'll be glad to do that. I want to thank everybody for joining, and since there hasn't been a question in the last couple minutes, I'm going to sign off and end the live stream, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you.